When they started, the amount of penicillin in the broth was less than gold in ocean water. So
Really? Okay.
that little amount of penicillin existed there, yeah? Because when you are making that one, assume you have your media, like the soup that you're making, and some portion of that is your bacteria that making the penicillin. And if you wanted to make penicillin for to support the population of US, you needed to make the factory should have been from San Francisco to New York, that long of a factory. So we are so much better right now, 50,000 times better, to be exact.
We're going through something absolutely historic.
Technologies across the board are growing exponentially.
It's a disruption that's going to completely redefine the way businesses compete.
In the next decade, we're going to lose 40% of today's Fortune 500 companies.
The exponential growth of computing is continuing.
AI is nowhere near its full potential.
Whether you like it or not, that the future cannot be stopped by anyone.
Welcome back to the Future Tech and Foresight podcast. I'm your AI host, Marc Vernkhov's Deepfake avatar, and this is episode number 196. In this episode, Marc is joined by Reza, an expert in biomanufacturing who unpacks the crucial differences between chemical and biological production, using organisms instead of labs to grow complex therapeutics like Ozempic or Keytruda. They trace the evolution of biotech from early penicillin breakthroughs to the modern plateau of inefficient trial and error systems. Reza explains how AI and automation can dramatically speed up and improve these processes, reducing drug costs, accelerating time to market, and unlocking new forms of organic materials, including sustainable meat, milk, and leather. From genetic optimization to global scaling, this is a thought-provoking look at how AI promises to reshape biology and the future of manufacturing. A little bit about today's guest, Reza, is a third-time founder with 2 successful exits, reflecting his strong track record in launching and scaling technology ventures. Before founding Catalyze AI, he gained strategic consulting experience at BCG, where he focused on driving data-driven solutions for diverse industries. He holds a master's degree in system design engineering from the University of Waterloo. His leadership establishes the company as a trusted partner in biomanufacturing.
All right. Well, Reza, thank you very much for joining the podcast today. I'm very much looking forward to talking about biomanufacturing and how AI is impacting this field. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about biomanufacturing any day.
Perfect. Well, maybe a good place to start is how you got involved in this. Obviously, we'll be talking about how artificial intelligence is impacting this. Did you come at this from an AI perspective or a biomanufacturing perspective first, or was there some kind of unique combination that led you to do the work that you're doing today?
Yeah, I had both experience in bio and AI before. I've done this work before, even as a consultant, and so it was I knew the problem, and I also I was trained engineer, so I was been working as AI. So it's a combination of both come together and catalyze form based on that combination at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we can start off with a little bit of context in your industry, right? So I've had, I think, 1 or 2 guests a lot further in the past talk about the biomanufacturing as a term is. Maybe we can, because we're talking about how AI is going to be impacting this. So what are some of the challenges that your industry is experiencing nowadays, right? Is it slowdowns? I know it takes a long time to make pharmaceuticals, and what are some of the main challenges that the industry is facing?
Yeah. No. I mean, maybe it would be good to have a background about bio and what does it mean, maybe before we get into it. It's
Sure.
because when you get the definition, it's just the problems arises from the definition. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of the stuff that we are making today, specifically in the space of therapeutic, could be either produced chemically or produced organically. Yeah. What does that mean? Like, for example, aspirin. Yeah. So aspirin is like a small molecule, 20 atoms. And this one, you can make it chemically, like put a chemical process, you heat up, a material, you mix it with an acid, just like extract it. And, 99 out of 100 times you get that aspirin molecule. When you're thinking about the new wave of therapeutic, like Ozempic, that's just what's a blockbuster drug today. Yeah. These are large molecules, like a molecule like a Keytruda, which is oncology for cancer, is 20,000 atoms. They're big, huge proteins. They could not get manufactured chemically. So what you need to do is just you are getting a cell, you're getting a live organism, and you feed them an instruction somehow. We don't get to the detail of it to make that molecule for you. So you're having a biologics manufacturing like that. So obviously, when you're dealing with a live organism rather than a series of chemical interactions, there is so much unpredictability into it. Yeah. So these molecules are live organisms. They sometimes need they're not as efficient as your chemical. Yeah. So it's like, they need zinc. Why? They need zinc for, growth, or they need like this specific type of sugar. They prefer it than the other one. So it's not like what is optimal for you. It's like you need for making that molecule is what's optimal for making that cell grow. So it adds a layer of complexity to it. So that brings the complexity to the manufacturing. From the people like that have done any type of brewery, they know it's like if you the week that you are brewing and the weather is like cloudy, you can get a different taste beer than the ones that is sunny. It's like that's how much it's a microbial at the end of the day. It has a life. Right. What they say is like this has a life of its own. So this is a very usually complex process with a lot of variables can impacting the door production. So the issue here is like how we can look at this complex, multi-dimensional problem and put them like a mathematical model around it to understand it. And when you understand it, you can optimize it, you can control it. So that's kind of the issue, not today's issue. It's just a longest standing situation from 1950s when we started biomanufacturing.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I can understand the challenges right from the definition. You're absolutely correct. What has been the optimization? I don't know if protocols is the right term, but like what kind of optimizations have happened since the 1950s before we touch on AI? Like, has it just been understanding these microorganisms better so that you can give it, higher quality zinc rather than lower quality zinc, and it does better that way? Or like, what are some of the things that have improved this process of biomanufacturing before we touch on AI, which I think we all want to hear about?
That's a really good question. So let's get back to the first time they made like a first molecule, like commercially we start doing biomanufacturing. So biomanufacturing, like biologics production happened in labs before, but in a sense of commercially doing it, the first time happened for penicillin. Alexander Fleming found a molecule in like, I don't know, 30s. And during the World War, they needed penicillin for like soldiers. So they sent that one to US, and a few companies that we heard of them, like, Merck, BMS and Pfizer raised their hand to make this one, commercially. And they really, really, really tried to make it synthetically through chemical production. They couldn't. So it's like the first person is like, we need to make it through biomanufacturing. They call him crazy. It's like, hey, it's the house of his mind. But so he cannot do that. And it's reasonable. When they started, the amount of penicillin in the broth. So like, it's an interesting name. They call it broth. Because it looks like the water that includes the molecules. The soup was less than gold in ocean water. So
Really? Okay.
that little amount of penicillin existed there. Yeah. Because when you are making that one, assume you have your media, like the soup that you're making, and some portion of that is your bacteria that making the penicillin, and that some of them make the penicillin for you. So it's like you start going down, it's like, yeah, there's not much penicillin in this one. They used to say like, if you wanted to make penicillin for the like to support the population of US, you needed to make the factory should have been from San Francisco to New York, that long of a factory. So we are so much better right now, 50,000 times better, like to be exact. One of the first thing that they figured out, they changed the type of sugar they're feeding it, and that become like 10 times better. Later on, they found this yeast, I think, on the cantaloupe, that was like 20 times better than making penicillin than the one that they were using before. So it was kind of like a serendipity plus, like, have an intuition, trial and error. That was it. Like, hey, let's maybe this like yeast makes better penicillin. So that was the status quo. And you believe it or not, today's situation is more or less the same. Like, let's try different cell lines, let's try different media, let's try different types and see which one gives us a better answer. So it's more of a trial and error so far before the AI starts playing a role. And the best case situation, you would say, like an intuition of a person. Yeah.
Super interesting. I would not think about that kind of way of improving drugs or improving the manufacturing of drugs from a sophisticated industry like the pharmaceutical industry. Very interesting. So it's taken, what is that, like 75 years or so to improve the sorry, what'd you say? 30,000, 50,000, 30,000 times?
50,000 times.
50,000 times. So it's taken all those years through all this trial and error to improve the amount of, say, penicillin that's manufactured. Very interesting. So without AI, this process would continue, or has it already kind of reached a limit, or has it curved off on this increasing of percentage for the manufacturing efficiency? Like, has the trial and error kind of reached its limit, I guess, is the question.
Yeah. So in 1950s, we had one drug that was biomanufacturing, and they had 75 years of improving it. Yeah.
Yes.
Today, out of the top 20 drugs by revenue, 17 of them are biomanufactured. So, and these are like the drugs that come to market every like couple of years. We don't have that much time to go through this level of like, trial and error anymore. Yeah. So we reached to this point that is like, yeah, we have a base understanding of it, and we are sticking to that base. It's like, hey, if I'm getting like 10 grams, it's good enough. Let's like, that's the situation. And biomanufacturing is mostly used for these expensive molecules. Yeah. We get like $1,000 dose. You can pay for it. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about the efficiency. So it kind of plateaued at the end of the day. And that's where I like, both because of the scale of it, and it's just we are accepting it kind of. This is the status quo. And that's where like AI comes in, because if you think about the future, it's not about only drugs that you can be biomanufactured. Yeah. We have companies today, any organic material. Think about animal product, meat, milk, gelatin, silk, leather. All of these, it's hard to make chemically, but technically should be a way to make it through biomanufacturing. The only reason we are not doing this one is not that the quality is not good. It's actually the quality is better than like, what you're getting, more consistent. Like if we get like in labs, when you're making it, it costs 60% less water, 90% less energy to make milk through biomanufacturing. It's just today is very, very expensive. Yeah. And very inefficient. If we reach to a point that is like, we get 50,000 times better, if we just make it 10x better, like you're gonna see an explosion of product that is getting manufactured, which is way more sustainable, way more scalable. and way more cost effective at the end of the day. So
and far more resource or less resource intensive. If I'm
exactly,
understanding correctly, yeah.
yeah. And when come back to therapeutic, kind of start the spinning of new drugs that are coming into the market. So it's and there is so much efficiency to be done, but we kind of plateaued because this is a hard problem for a human, or even like early on AI problems to solve. Because the amount of like data that you need to train a model with that level of like uncertainty, it's massive. So we cannot create models like we couldn't have, like we didn't have computation power, the data or algorithmic capability to do this one probably like 5 years ago. So now we are reaching to this like inflection point. That's kind of like we have this so much availability of the data, computation. That's where Catalyze is coming. It's like, hey, now I think it's the right time to solve this problem. Bring AI instead of a human being, instead of trial and error, and a statistical model, a reasoning model to figure out better ways to biomanufacture this or organic materials. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So obviously, with Catalyze AI, your company, you guys are doing this. Can you? I try to get as much tangible information in these podcasts as possible. Like, can you give an example of where you guys are improving this efficiency of the biomanufacturing to make it just more tangible and more relevant for somebody listening?
Yeah, for sure. So think about like a performance of a person. Yeah, like where you are at the highest performance. It's like, yeah, you need to have good sleep. You need to have like exercise before. You need to have good genes, and you have like have a good diet. So it's like diet, gene, and your pattern of behavior. Yeah, similar situation here. You want to get the maximum output from your cell to make something. You want a cell that has a good gene, so it just naturally produces more penicillin.
Mm-hmm.
You want a cell that uh, have a, like, you want to know what is the right feed to that cell, and you want to know like what, for example, temperature and a pH was like a condition that performs well.
Right.
So we look at all these like dimensions. It's like, hey, like what is it? Is it a yeast? What type of yeast? Is it a E. coli? What type of E. coli? Is it a mammalian? What type of mammalian cell? Then we can look at your target molecule. So your target molecule could be like an mRNA that could become or a DNA, or could be a protein. So we look at the structure of your target.
Mm-hmm.
We look at your cell line, and based on that, it's like, hey, this is like the best cell line that has the best gene to make that protein. Then for this cell line, this is the best, feed. For this combination of feed, cell line, and protein, this is the best, like temperature to grow it. So these are like the stuff that we are figuring out as we are moving forward. So we look at the historical cell growth, and we start predicting what are the conditions that you are getting the most optimal result.
So, are you guys also then discovering like new variables for these microorganisms that they need? So you're talking about like pH and temperature. You mentioned feeding, zinc or other minerals. Are there other things that, as you're going about this like prediction and optimization process, are there other things that you guys are coming up with that's like, oh, well, to make penicillin, what we should actually be doing is, I don't know, feeding it magnesium instead of zinc, right? Are there those kinds of things that are coming up in your research that are maybe, bringing a new X amount of % of efficiency that wasn't there before?
Yeah. So it's an interesting question. So there is a stuff that like get discovered through. It's like, hey, maybe instead of this, use that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the parameters should be the parameters that we have data.
Yeah.
So, and the issue here is, like our goal at the end goal is not getting to like understanding that, but more likely getting to understanding of it. Like we are right now in an optimization period. Like, so what does it mean is like, hey, I'm making a vaccine, like a flu vaccine, or 20 years. How can I make it 10% better?
Mm-hmm.
But the next step for us is just figuring out is like, hey, I'm making this like Ozempic in a lab. How can I make it commercially? So they never made this one commercially, but can you tell me how can I make it commercially? And our end goal is like, you discovered something, like you, Marc, when discovered the cure for, hair loss. I don't know. I was like, this is a large molecule I found, definitely, but I really don't know how to make it at all. I was like, okay, tell me the information about your target molecule, and I'm gonna figure out how you're gonna make it. Yeah. So that's the path for us. It's just to reduce. You want to be the infrastructure, like an NVIDIA. Like I don't want to be the AI. You figure out. You go figure out the drug. Yeah, you go figure out what you're making.
Mm-hmm.
But if you figure it out, it should be so easy. It shouldn't take like 2 years of studies, 2 years of commercialization, like to reach it to a level that you can get in the hand of customer. Like again, like there are other there are other like aspects that can slow it down, but we are gonna remove at least these aspects of the manufacturing. Yeah, if you want to manufacture, you should be able to manufacture it like immediately with short amount of time. Yeah.
Very interesting. So let's I can't remember the numbers, but let's say it's like what, 2 years to bring a drug to market, right? With research, or no, it's a lot more than that, isn't it? With research and everything.
Oh yeah. So 2 years is commercialization. It's like drugs. Like I figure out what is it, then I want to make it at the full capacity. Yeah. So a drug like Ozempic, or like a drug like Ozempic, it's an autoimmune disease. It's like $10 billion a year they make. Yeah.
Yes.
So it takes 2 years to get it to full commercialization. If you can reduce that to a 1 year, that means like, so much benefit for the company. Also, like, obviously. By the way, a lot of these drugs, like, we are in these situations like, hey, like top 20, 17 out of the 20 is like biomanufactured, but most of the world don't get access to the biomanufactured drug. It's expensive. It's hard. It's like, so
Right.
just increasing that accessibility is also like, if the price comes down, you can make more of it. You can, can do a lot more with it. So, in general, it's good for people, good for companies. So, yeah, it's an interesting intersection. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So you're saying that with catalyzed AI and the optimization that you're able to do, you could bring down this commercialization period from 2 years to 1 years. And this is, which is a big theme on the podcast, and I guess everybody talking about AI, we're still very early in this AI race, if you will, right? The models and the systems are still, I mean, they're powerful, but they're nowhere near as powerful as they will be in a couple of years. So you're saying that this commercialization process could theoretically be brought down even more than, half.
Exactly. So yeah, like right now I think like I really like when I was at consulting, there was this saying, it's like 80% of the AI projects fail. That was like probably like a couple of years ago.
Mm.
We are getting so much better at implementing. You most of the AI project you are saying, like hearing, like, oh, there is an ROI at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now we are in like infancy of it. I was listening to this podcast, someone saying like we're in 1996 of uh internet
Yeah.
compared to AI. So there is a lot to be done and be automated or be improved. But we are seeing enough signals that there is something real here. So the signals are there. Obviously, we are not there yet. There is I'm saying even with the current capacity, if we don't do any more invention, there is so much more to be done. With AI, it's just we don't improve anything algorithmically or computationally. There is so much more to be done, and I'm pretty sure this is not gonna be the case. It's we are seeing to raise I don't know DeepSeek reducing the cost drastically. That's huge. That means you're gonna run stuff on edge. Running the
Yes.
stuff on edge, that's a totally different ball game. Yeah.
Very interesting. So, could we, to use one of the terms here, could we double click a little bit more on this accessibility that you mentioned? So, the commercialization period and process goes down, gets cut in half, or even further than that. The drug cost goes down. What kind of benefits are we going to see to civilization at large? Are we going to see healthier people? Are we going to see richer pharmaceutical companies? Are we going to see, you mentioned something along the lines of people across the world would get access to some of these drugs that they don't get access to now? Are there other, or you want to go further into those points, or are there other points that are beneficial to society and civilization as a whole?
Yeah, I think to me there are two things that are really interesting here. Number one is what I mentioned. If we can get to produce stuff like organic matters, animal products on a scale, that's a big game changer. As accessibility, from sustainability, from get everyone get access to good quality proteins. That's very to scale up slaughterhouses for pigs. That's the current situation. It's I believe it's everyone should have a fair share to get access to high quality protein. But if we go with that trend, it's gonna be a nightmare for everyone. The second piece is for me is very, very exciting is rare diseases and personalized medicine.
Yeah.
Because today, if you have you figure out 100 people have a disease, probably it's so costly. It's gonna be so costly to go and make this stuff because it's just there is no power of scale there. Yeah, to figure out the process development for 100 people or for 1,000,000 people, you need to go through the whole process development. You need to develop you need to make that thing happen. Yeah, and so it's personalized medicine and stuff like that's gonna be so much better at that. So with a lot of diseases that you're seeing, hey, maybe a small group of people, or he goes maybe it's a big group of people, but they're not in the US or Canada or Western Europe. So they don't have the money to pay for it. Yeah,
Right.
that disease is specifically to a unfortunate or less fortunate part of the world. Yeah, so you're gonna see healthier people. We're gonna see kind of an equalizer, so getting more quality products to everyone across the board, similar to the internet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now you have internet and a phone, and someone in the less fortunate part of the world also have internet and the phone. It's become so much commoditized. It's gonna be that gatekeeping goes away, and it's a little more equal access for everyone, I would say.
So on this trend, would you still see the manufacturing of these products to be mostly done in the whatever the proper term is, Western world, first world, further industrialized world, advanced world, or with these processes, because they become a little bit cheaper, could you see the places that might not have access to these goods right now also start to manufacture the drugs themselves locally for their own populations? Or is that still,
Yeah.
further away in time?
No, actually, we are seeing that today. There's a lot of investment in China. There's a lot of investment in India. There's a lot of investment in Middle East. Uh, uh, Opening up new facilities. for biomanufacturing in general. So we are seeing that one that's already been happening. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic with the whole nearshoring, inshoring situation too. But again, like we are seeing more and more companies are more and more countries are investing in biomanufacturing. Kind of, it's a cheap manufacturing that no one talks about. So it's like a lot of dependency on it. It's like it's really important for a country to make sure they can make the drugs that they're using inside the country. Yeah. So you're like there is a strategic investments across the globe to make sure they're bringing at least some capabilities internally, what they call domestically.
Yeah. Okay, so this is really interesting with regards to artificial intelligence as one technology that's going to bring down the cost and bring down the time for this biomanufacturing. One of the trends or themes that comes up on this podcast, not as often as I'd like, but I think it's quite interesting, is other technologies having an impact on, one vertical or one industry that might not have been thought about before. So, clearly using AI to bring about these efficiency gains is, I think, well, in this conversation, it's obvious now. Are there other technologies like, say, robotics, which has been talked about quite a bit, supporting the efficiency process and bringing like another multiplier in helping this process become a little bit more efficient and reducing the time? Like maybe automation. I'm assuming this broth needs to be stirred and maintained by humans, right? Is there discussion also of having automation and robotics, or some sort of improved sensors to make sure the broth is at the right temperature a little bit more efficiently? Like, are there other technologies that are coming in to play to bring down the costs and time?
Yeah, that's for sure. There are interesting stuff in the market currently. There's a company called uh, Culture Bio, based in actually California. They're doing interesting stuff like making more interesting bioreactors, uh, like more automation. There's a company called Ginkgo Bioworks that are doing a lot on the automation, because at the end of the day, we talked about that trial and error. Yeah.
Yeah.
The same situation for the data. Like if you do that trial and error and your AI has more data, it's just better. There are companies that are automating that trial and error. So it's like, hey, now there's a small, vessels that you can do a small amount of biomanufacturing, but like you have 48 of them running at the same time, but you can have different settings, like there are different cell lines, different things. So if you can do that like on a scale, that means you're generating like tens of thousands of batches a year. That's like ridiculously increasing the data capability at the end of the day. It's an interesting, the automation is playing a huge role there. What you mentioned, the control environment. Like if we reach to a point right now, it's like, hey, these are very, very reactive situations. Like the pH is going high, so it's gonna like get ruined. So it's like, how can I quickly bring the pH down? How, or like some, so then that means new sensor, new control systems. So a lot of smart people are working on those ideas, and it's like a complementary to kind of like, this is the brain, but how that brain can react is really depends on the limbs. Yeah. So it's like the sensories, the actions that we can take, the data that we can collect. So this is a very intertangled, settings that you're like, you're 100% right. The automation is a big one. It can feed AI, it can enable AI, but sit together, they can do a lot more at the end of the day.
Super interesting. Okay, I want to focus a little bit more on the future here as well. So you were saying 17 out of the 20 top drugs every year are biomanufactured.
Yeah.
With with artificial intelligence, automation, and all these other, like the new bioreactors, is that number going to change? Are we going to see 19 out of 20 drugs being biomanufactured? Like, is it gonna change things in that sense as well?
Yeah, I think 17 out of 20 doesn't, I don't know if it's gonna go 19 out of 20, but it's
Yeah.
gonna be like 28 out of 50. It's
I
gonna be like,
see.
yeah. So it's gonna be, you're gonna see more widespread of, it's not coming for taking over, but definitely it's just gonna get widespread. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like if, yeah, we reach this situation, like we are gonna see more prevalent cases getting biometric. We are seeing today small molecules that you sometimes make synthetically. There's a company I was talking to, uh, a Japanese startup. They were making the molecules that you are making today synthetically through biomanufacturing. They were claiming they can reach to a higher quality of the material at the end of the day, because yeah, there's like we can reach higher quality of material, a different combination of that organic matter, that like, the different iteration of it. So we are seeing more and more is coming to the market. uh it just, yeah, it's just a tool set, opens up like a new way of thinking. It's hard to predict what's gonna happen next. Sometimes with these technologies, like you are just an enabler. You pass it to the market and you hope for the best, and like you see people start like getting creative. There's like there's biofuels, there's biocomputers, like there's a lot of stuff out there. Yeah.
Right.
We don't know. There's like biomechanism to, like, do consume plastics, just reducing the
Very cool.
plastic. So there is different use cases out there, definitely exist beyond therapeutic.
So you're seeing kind of, let's just pick a number, the next 5 years or so, your implementation of AI to improve this commercialization process, along with, your competitors and the peers in your field,
Yeah.
we're going to see not just drug costs and time to the market reduce, but we're also going to see other outgrowths of, whether it's new industries or new tools to make the world better, right? If we're talking about a plastic bioreactor, I'm assuming that's breaking down the plastics into their, potential oils, oil inputs, right? Or reduce it into such a way that can be recycled or something like that. To me, it sounds like there's a tremendous amount of societal benefit that can happen if these early things can be, as we've been talking about, figured out now over the next
Eh,
couple of years.
Exactly. I think that's exactly it is. Like we need to, the benefits of investing in this space is so tremendous. That's like go way beyond health, which is really important. It's very big, but I think like the 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 potentials is there across the board. Like, kind of like hacking the way the word get created. It's like, hey, how the fields getting created. So getting to that level of like efficiency is it's a game changer here for again, like we had so much improvement, so much advancement in like making you know big advanced stuff like an airplane, and we had so much advancements like making a small chip, but like not much, the biologics wasn't keeping up so far with the rest of it, I would say. So you have like electronics, like mechanical engineers. The biologics is just, it feels like there are two different words between engineers, mathematician, and biologists, like a very uh, yeah, compartmentalized. They're not the same. They didn't sit in the same room, so we didn't see that much improvement in the biologics. So but we are really good at like drug discovery and R&Ds and stuff. Like, by the way, those are we are very, very advanced there. But when it comes like, hey, how can where the biology, it sits by itself, it's really good. When the
Right.
biology combines with engineering and science, that's where we suck. So the biology is itself like, oh, amazing stuff, like curing cancers. I think these are ridiculously like hard problems to solve that they are doing it. But when it comes to that combination, there's less and fewer people were working on it, and now like we are gonna see that's gonna change in the next few years.
Super interesting. Well, I like the way that this conversation has moved or ended with this. I hadn't thought about all these kind of peripheral aspects of society that could be impacted in a positive way. I'm glad to have had my mind opened a little bit more on that. Maybe a final question: are there any of these tangentially connected industries that you see being impacted that you're the most excited about?
Yeah, I think specifically to like the factor that we are seeing, like in a cosmetic stuff, like there's a company called Yelter doing gelatin through biomanufacturing. Very, very interesting. There's a company called Good and Fork working on meat. There is a company called Bon Vivant, or like there's zero cow milk. If I'm correct, they're making casein through biomanufacturing. So there are like good amount of efforts has been done in this space. Yeah.
Super. So we could see a future with like meat, dairy, etc. that don't come from animals, no harming of animals, which I think you alluded to earlier on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty close. Like casein,
Yeah.
it is like one of the main component of milk that's been used like as a raw material for pharma companies, technically, sometimes here and there. I think that's gonna be like that's the closest one I see that's gonna be fully taking over. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Well, maybe I'll have to contact some of these companies and bring them onto the podcast to talk about that.
For sure. Yeah.
That's a connection. Super interesting. Reza, I'll have your LinkedIn and the Catalyze AI website up on the show notes. Are there any other places that guests can follow or reach out?
Yeah. LinkedIn, Twitter, check out the website for sure. Like we have interesting material there too, like very, very good blogs that we are having there, like if you're interested in the space. So yeah, check out Catalyze AI with K. That's the important one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope like there's a blog section, like a knowledge center, because I think this is a new industry. So we are trying to like also educate people about the space, about what's happening. So there's interesting stuff there for sure.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was very insightful, and for myself personally, as I'm sure it will be for other guests, it kind of opens your mind to all these new kind of peripheral industries or parts of society that will be impacted by this kind of technology. So very interesting.
Yeah. Thank you, Marc.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, thanks for listening to this week's Future Tech and Foresight podcast. If you like what you've heard here, there are, of course, a number of ways that you can support the podcast. The best way would be to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or give a rating on Spotify, which you can find a step-by-step explanation for on the futuretechandforesight.com website. Alternatively, feel free to leave a comment either on the episode show notes or the YouTube channel where you can see video recordings of the interviews. And finally, if you are part of an organization that is aware of the disruptive and transformational impact that emerging and future technologies will bring and want to know more, please get in touch to hear about the strategic foresight services that we offer and how we can help future-proof your organization and take advantage of the phenomenal opportunities available to survive and thrive in the future.
A lot of future-shocked people and future-shocked institutions in our society are simply overwhelmed.
Once there is superintelligence, the fate of humanity may depend on what the superintelligence does.
Science fact is catching up to science fiction.
The first truly intelligent machine will be the last invention that humanity needs to make.
The only scarcity that will exist in the future is that which we decide to create ourselves as humans.
Within a 10-year design revolution, we can have all humanity living the highest standard of living anybody's ever known.
Progress is accelerating at an exponential pace, and it's going to reach a point where progress is so fast it's going to be a singularity.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens.
Every single headline points to the birth pangs of a Type 1 civilization.